All right. Welcome, NAV Real Estate Podcast. Here we are with Korey Wacker, Matt Rosenfeld. So introduce yourself, guys. Introduce yourself to the world.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
No, you first, Korey.
Korey Wacker, excited to be here. Been with NAV since the beginning. Looking forward to really discussing with you guys a lot about us and who we are and how we developed into where we are now. So.
Yeah, so I'm Matt Rosenfeld, managing broker at NAV. Excited to get started.
Cool. And I'm Bo Pollard. So we're the three kind of founding partners that are still here since day one. So Matt, you can go first. How'd you get started in real estate?
Yeah, so I originally moved to Colorado in the fitness industry, and basically in the fitness industry was dabbling in rental properties and buying some investments. And basically had an epiphany one day, realized I was, all day, every day I was thinking about real estate and how I was going to save up money to go buy more properties, and just kind of had an epiphany that if that's what I was thinking about all day, that I should just make it a career. So that's how I started.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I was actually with a buddy of mine who was already in real estate, originally started in fitness. And we were climbing mountains up in Golden Gate Canyon State Park out past Golden. I don't know if you guys been there, but great, beautiful place. And we're doing some free solo stuff where we just literally just trekking up rocks, and through this process, Jesse Hermrich is the guy, and he was discussing with me. He was real philosophical, talking to me about what I wanted, what was the future. I haven't had kids yet, still not married. Was in the fitness industry, really loved that, but then he kind of navigated me to think more of like what I want and what direction do I want to head. And I thought real estate was a great idea when he brought it up, because it gave me the autonomy to kind of do with my life what I wanted to do, which at the time was climb mountains and put my life at risk in multiple different ways. It allowed me not to have to be inside a gym 24/7, and I could just go when I want to go. And that was really exciting to me. And as soon as that idea hit my mind, just lift off.
Cool. And where did you guys get started in real estate?
So at the time, Jesse was at iHomes, Colorado.
He was working there.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he was working there. He had been there for maybe a month or two. He was a club manager with 24 Hour Fitness previously, and I was a fitness manager. And that's how I met Jesse. Also how I met Matt as well. But iHomes Colorado was originally the brokerage that we were at.
Cool. And I was there too. We all kind of got started at iHomes. That's cool. So Matt, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
How'd you get to Colorado?
Through fitness, so majored in exercise science at Appalachian State, which is where I met Bo. But yeah, it was basically either Denver or Austin, Texas, and got the job here first. So here we are.
Here at Austin.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
You interviewed there?
I did, yeah.
Nice. I never knew that.
Yeah. Austin's a little too hot, though. I'm glad I ended up here.
It is pretty warm.
Yeah.
Kind of like this office right now. Yeah. That's cool. And Korey, where are you from?
Actually from Texas. Grew up about an hour north of Austin, military satellite city over there. And from there, got a scholarship to play baseball. Went to University of Maryland. After I graduated in 2012, I did not want to go back to the humidity in Texas. So I knew actually at the time my stepfather, he was a district manager of 24 Hour Fitness. So he had some connections out here in Denver's market, and it was between Denver, I think the other one was Portland, and then Dallas. But of course,
You make a really good hipster.
Yeah.
Portland would have fit,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. See, I feel the same way. Yeah, like I could have just molded into the crew there.
Yeah. Portland's a cool town.
Yeah, but then I would have never met you guys. So
It's true.
yeah, it might have been a better life.
Yeah, so I guess I'll get into kind of my origin story. It was a dark night. No, so I grew up in Virginia, and went to college actually with Matt. Matt was a next door neighbor in my dorm. After college, I have a degree in industrial design, so started my career in design. Kind of lived in all over the world. Lived in China, came back. Knew I wanted to live in Denver. I came out here on spring break one year and went to Breckenridge, and I remember just being in the mountains and being like, this is it. This is where I'm going to be. So I ended up moving to Keystone for a winter, kind of took a break from my career, came back down to Denver, and went to buy a gym membership at 24 Hour Fitness where Matt was working. And I sat down in front of him. He's like, hey, what are you doing for work? Yada, yada, making small talk. And I was like, well, nothing yet. I'm looking for a job. And he's like, why don't you work for me? Be a personal trainer. And I was recruiting. Yeah, he was recruiting hard. So I had a background in, I played sports in college and didn't know much about training, that's for sure. But started working as a trainer, my first real sales job. And did that for like 10 months, went back to my career in design, and then got my dream job, what I thought was my dream job, and then got recruited within the company to do sales. And then my boss found out and fired me. Matt had since started doing real estate. Him and Korey were working for iHomes. And in tears, I remember calling Matt and being like, hey, man, what's this real estate stuff about? And he was like, why don't you come down and find out? And I drove straight there from being fired from my job, and haven't looked back since. Yeah,
that was awesome.
I think I was in the car.
I think you were.
Like, because you were like, hey, we'll pick you up, or like, we'll took a drive somewhere.
We split a lot of business back then, so we were riding around showing.
Yeah, like we definitely were going somewhere. I remember you were in the front seat and I was in the back, and you were just, there was some emotions there. It was running high. Yeah, and that was kind of the first time I met you. Mm-hmm. Was in that car, and that was our first experience. And since then,
you haven't seen any emotion since then.
Yeah, they're emotionless.
So yeah, that's kind of how I got started in real estate. And then after about a year at iHomes, Matt had since left the company and had got enough tenure to get his employment broker's license. And do you want to kind of tell us how we got started where we are today?
Yeah, so I'd say the biggest reason of why we started is we all kind of looked at the brokerage landscape and really the sales landscape and identified that, if you open like a retail shop or a store or something like that, your inventory is your product and you're running a business that way, right? What's unique about real estate is really all of us, and the salesperson is the product. So it doesn't really make sense that all these, CEOs and executives are the ones, making a ton of money in a traditional brokerage landscape off the backs of really the agents who are doing all the sales and all of the production for the company, right? So we basically wanted to, the question we were asking ourselves was, how can we make a hybrid environment where we're running a business and we're collecting enough to innovate and grow and do the things that we need to do as a business, but not over collect. So that's where we kind of came up with our profit share model, which is mostly what makes us pretty unique.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do you think, Korey?
Well, I mean, I just remember the beginning of that. It was quite the adventure. I mean, you had left iHomes. I think you were about a month in front of me, and we kind of had the realization, kind of when we're working at iHomes, we kind of developed this, key relationship. We were always bouncing ideas off each other. Within the competition of like, kind of who's better, it's more of like, how can I take away some of the knowledge and share that knowledge and kind of develop more skills. And you always want that from other people, right? You want to develop yourself. You want to get better. And that's how you potentially get better, is acquire tactics and knowledge from other resources, people you trust that are doing it the right way. So, I remember just the process of getting into our own thing, and like maybe not necessarily just the fears behind it, but more the excitement. It was very raw, very organic, because everything was new. But we had the right intent. And I think what Matt said, like the intent was, how can we make this the best possible place to be a high producing real estate agent for them to maximize their profits, with knowing that the company that they are working for has their backs 100%.
Well, we even felt this at 24 Hour Fitness too. It's like it's so interesting. Everybody gets into personal training because they love fitness, they love helping people, all of those things, right? But then you get into personal training at 24 and you're convinced to get into management and climb this ladder. And at a certain point, a lot of people get to a point to where they realize they're so far removed from where their passion actually was. And a lot of people in that management end up going back to trainers at that point. So yeah, we just really wanted to create a place where like the goal's not to get promoted or be the CEO or anything like that. How can you just be the top performing agent possible and get paid out according to that?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I've been thinking a lot about it lately, just how it all started, and none of us had started a business before. Like, we had done real estate, which is our own business, but not start a company. And it's kind of like everything that we've done in real estate is like jump in head first and figure it out. And I think over the last, it's been 6 years now, right?
Yeah.
6 years. We've learned and grown a lot. The three of us have met way more hours than I care to admit to kind of figure things out and make things awesome, and really just keeping like the agent first approach. Like, we want to have people that are full-time, that really just creating a company where it really is the best place for an agent to do real estate. Keeping that the focus has been awesome. What's your favorite part about what we do here, Korey?
So I think my favorite part probably has to do with the relationships we can have with other entrepreneurs, because all of the agents that we have on the team are choosing to want to be at this brokerage. And so to understand that it's more of a relationship and collaboration between them as not necessarily coworkers, but like co-business owners. Right, because every agent's kind of individual to their own business and how they run it. And it's great to have like this relationship where we are doing the same thing, right? It's like who we are helping is the same type of people, right? Helping people buy and sell real estate. So it's like to have the ability to have a relationship with the person who, in essence, from a competing perspective, you can have that mindset, right? We're in the same exact business is awesome here, because it's like that person is still willing to help me. They're still willing to give me tips, tools that I'm still willing to help them, give them all my knowledge. And it's awesome because it's how you make yourself better. It's how you help your clients. And everybody wants to help each other here. And I think that's one of the most exciting things to me personally.
Cool. So a question for both of you. What's the best advice you've received since starting doing real estate?
Yeah, so I have something. So advice I got at the very beginning of my career is that winners win. And I think that's so true in multiple facets of the thing. But I just think that when you approach everything with the lens of winners win, it changes the way that you think about your failures, and it really puts you in a position to be a student of the business, and recognize that, even the greatest people in the industry, really in any industry, are failing a lot. You just don't hear about it. So I think it's less about avoiding failure and using failure as a stepping stone to get to those next wins. So yeah, it would be winners win.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Do you remember who?
If you're not first or last.
Do you remember who told you that at all?
Actually, that was advice in the fitness industry. That was from Steve Allen.
Yeah, I remember Steve.
Yeah.
Kind of rolled over. What about you, Bo?
Yeah, so I came up with these questions, so I got to think about it a lot, and I've got a lot of great advice since starting doing real estate. But what I always come back to that has helped me in real estate specifically is advice that Matt gave me. I think I was like a month in, and I had a couple contracts when I first started, and I was stressed, freaking out. You know how it goes, right? You're a little confused on like what to do every day. You're working with a listing agent for the first time. And he kind of set me down and he's like, look, man, real estate is a very emotional thing. So if the more you can keep your emotions out of it, like you need to care, but you can't be getting upset at everything that kind of comes up. And the more I thought about it too, is like, you know, you have a seller who raised their kids in that house, right? They have an emotional tie to this property. You have a buyer who's spending more money than they've ever spent on anything in their entire life, right? They're freaking out. You have a listing agent who might not have done a deal in 6 months. Like, they need this deal to close. They need this paycheck to support their family, right? You have a lender, same thing, right? Maybe they have an ego. They've done it for 30 years. They know exactly everything about the industry. And then here you are, right? Trying to manage everyone's expectations throughout the process. And, you know, he gave me the advice. It took a while to learn to actually do that and keep my emotions out of it. But also, like I said, being able to care about your clients and their success, I think, is really important. But when someone is freaking out, being able to keep a calm head on your shoulders, kind of talk them through and talk them down, if you will.
Yeah.
I think the concept of like being an advisor is really interesting, right? Like, your job for your client is that you're giving them advice, you're giving them their options. But a lot of times that advice could conflict with your own personal needs and your paycheck or whatever it may be. So I think so much of being successful in this is separating your own personal situation from the situation in the transaction so that you are freed up to actually be an advisor. And sometimes that means giving advice that contradicts your own personal situation. Yeah.
This house is going to fall over. You probably should.
Right. Right.
Korey, any good advice?
Yeah. I guess one of the ones was the control the controllables was a kind of a huge one for me, and saying, I'm not sure who actually told me that, but how you take it is there's so many things that happens, kind of to your point, Bo, of all these things transpire, and it could be overwhelming and put you in a position to where it's almost like you're feeling you have so much on your plate, or you're feeling attacked, or it's like directed towards you on a personal level. But there's only so many things that you can control, and as long as you're able to kind of put yourself in positions to make the choices that you are able to control throughout any process, whether it's real estate or I would say anything in your life, if you're able to continue to control just the raw things that you can control, then the things that are going to transpire and the direction it's going to head is out of your control at that point. It's just going to happen. And so there's so many things that happen that you can't do anything about, or there's things that happen that like are out of your control. But you have this feeling as if like you want to be connected to it in a way. You want to assist it. But the sooner you realize that the only things you can do and the choices you can make are directed towards the things you can control, it makes the process, it makes the excitement, it makes the direction go a lot smoother. So I think that's
good life advice too.
Yeah. It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
For sure. And so many things in real estate translate over to real life too. I love that. Awesome. What are you guys most excited about for 2023? I'm excited for our top producer trip this year.
Where are we going, by the way? We figured that out yet?
I think we're going to the Grand Cayman Islands. It's probably going to be the spot.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll show you the resort after this. But
okay.
It's
nice little resort setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that adult only, or are kids allowed to go to that?
Yes, it's adult only.
Oh. Yeah.
So you don't get to come.
So they don't restrict kids, do they? Do they restrict? Does it say adult only?
We'll look whenever.
Yeah. Can we look? Because I could,
look.
put them in the. I'm
in
sure
the
they got
kids'
an
club?
extra like bathroom or something.
Nice.
They could stay in.
Nice.
Yeah.
So one thing in our business now, right, we have a great relationship with Zillow. We get Zillow leads. And we've kind of always worked with Zillow Matt, do you want to explain a little about our relationship and how we got started in the office, grinding, getting connections with Zillow?
Yeah. So one thing I think super interesting about the landscape of just real estate right now is like Zillow, for example, is really the first internet company to master like online leads and that style of business. They've only been around since 2008, right? So we're still, if you think about it, even now, we're still very early phase what that looks like and what Google pay-per-click and YouTube and all this online content does for your business. We basically very early, whenever we started, realized the power of Zillow and really made the decision at that point that like, hey, if we know we can close these and we know we can systematically convert these over time and run a business this way, why don't we just ramp it up and make it happen? So over about 6 to 12 months, we went from spending, I think we started at about $3,000-ish a month. And then towards the end there, we got all the way up to about $200,000 a month on a Zillow spend. So
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
And I think a lot of the relationship with Zillow goes back to the timing of the industry of us, starting a new company here. Like what type of agents were going to be coming to the company and kind of the design of like traffic. How are we going to generate leads? How are we going to provide? What are we going to provide for the agents, right? What is their incentive outside of just raw profit share? Are we going to be recognized by? And so I think a lot of it goes down to at that timing. It's like, how can we get the hottest type of leads and understanding and using technology as an asset, and who has that platform and how can we leverage that relationship? And so, I think it leads back to that, that timing, that year, and kind of the idea behind it.
One thing that I want to hit on too is with Zillow, the way it works is you basically purchase zip codes and you purchase market share within a zip code, right? And in a lot of ways, the business that you're advertising to and you're marketing to then becomes your referral business and your relationships and really your long-term momentum in this business, right? Because everybody would agree that everybody's working towards a relationship, referral, repeat style business, but you got to fuel that somehow, right? So one thing that's kind of unique about the way we approached the Zillow spend was we really only purchased Central Denver Metro. So think Wash Park, think Low High, think City Park. So what that really did, nothing against the suburbs of Denver, but what that did is really get us in front of a lot of first-time home buyers, a lot of people that just moved to Denver, a lot of people that are kind of in the same kind of life phase as us. So it's allowed us to meet some really, really cool people too.
Yeah, and Denver is one of those places to where at the time we were getting, how many people were moving here out of state? Right, and a lot of people who are out of state, like how are they shopping for homes, but not here? They're not necessarily already connected to the local MLS. It's like, what platform gives them the best ability to shop in Denver, not be in Denver, but the idea was I'm coming to Denver, and so capturing a lot of that was important, and then long term allowing each individual agent to kind of go that route to grow their business, grow their network, become referrals, and then. It goes from there. We have between like the four to 8 people when we kind of started the place here in 2017 ish.
Yep.
I just remember, having to do both. Like, how many miles did you put on your car the first year?
Well, I was doing like 35,000 a year. Yeah.
Right, because when you inquire on Zillow, you're inquiring to go see a property, and immediately you claim it. They want to go see it. You show it, and then from there you might have multiples. So it's like how. It's like how much driving were we doing? That's kind of what I remember the most, outside of just always doing work from a car. Yeah.
Yep. And I think another big thing about Zillow too is like, if you're not from here and you want to start doing real estate, right? The first piece of advice is like, hey, farm your sphere. Well, my best friends are sitting here, right? Like everyone I want to sell a house I work with at this point, right? Yeah. So I think Zillow gives you that opportunity to really grow your business.
Well, it's like an online storefront, right? It's like you've got, I think Zillow gets like 40 million unique users a month or something like that. So that's people walking into your store considering if they're going to buy something.
Yeah. so Zillow has evolved in how they deliver leads as well. When we first started working with Zillow, it was a text message. It was a race. We called it fastest finger to claim the lead. And we were, I think they closed like 1 or 2 out of 100. So we were on calls, on the phones a lot, grinding. And now it's a person on the phone who wants to go see a home. You get to have a conversation and go meet them. So it's really become an awesome avenue to grow your business.
Yeah, and I remember kind of at the beginning of this, from us perspective, it's like all of us here being in the office, and then all of us waiting for that phone call, and then the excitement that came with like the actual connection, and then from there what transpired into like being excited for other people. Really quickly,
so we did a system called fastest finger. So the lead would come in as a text message, and then it's literally whoever clicks the button first is the one that like won the right to answer the phone and do the phone call, right? So you get 5 people in a room and everybody gets the ding at the same time, and you have T-Mobile, I have Verizon, so I get the call quicker. And
yeah. It's like who? It's like, can I move a little to the left to get to get a little faster? But I thought what's interesting is like even though we were competing against each other, when you lost and the other person won, you were still excited for them.
Yeah, it's
like you're still supporting them. And then, in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, well, maybe he's not going to get the next one. So
get complacent. You're not as fast as you were. Once you get 1 or 2 leads, you're like, cool.
Or Matt like goes to the bathroom and then he left his phone. Can I like slide it under the couch where he
that
can't?
Would never happen.
At that time, there was like, was there the Apple Watch where you could like locate your phone, so I could like shift it under the couch or something? Yeah. He's just like looking around. It's like, 3 leads came in. Perfect.
Cool. So, just to wrap things up here, one last question, and this is a question we're going to be talking about later on some videos with the team. What's the weirdest thing you ever saw on a showing?
Ooh, I have a good one.
Yeah.
So most of the homes in kind of the Baker neighborhood are built in the late 1800s, like right when Denver was first founded. So really, really old homes. And those have crawl spaces that have brick foundations. So you go down the crawl space, and that's where all your HVAC stuff is. And usually it's pretty dirty. There's some like fallen bricks. It's over 100 years old, right? So we went down there, and it was during the inspection, and there was a full-on, like it looks like somebody was like trying to like summon the devil down there. Like there was like a cross on the wall. There was like it was pretty creepy. So. Yeah,
wow.
That's probably the weirdest.
Did you get out of there? Like,
yeah,
they bought the house. So.
They bought the house.
Yeah, that was they had to find somebody to mitigate.
Yeah. Did you like check in with them later? Like,
you
guys hear any noises or?
I actually haven't heard from them since.
Oh no.
Yeah. You should probably swing by. Check in on them.
Exactly.
Knock on the door. It's gonna be different people.
I do think the most consistent thing that happens, which is super awkward, is when the seller, for whatever reason, doesn't get the showing confirmation. So they're like taking a nap or sleeping, and you just walk in the house, and they're like dead asleep in their room, and you're like, oh man, sorry.
Yeah. What about you, Bo? Because I'm still thinking.
Yeah. So I have a folder on my phone of all the weird things I've seen on showings. I like to take a picture. Yeah, so two stories come to mind. One's just like a crazy thing that happened to me. Another is a weird thing, so I kind of want to tell both. But I went in a showing once. It was with someone I met on Zillow. First time I met them. I'm making small talk or whatever. And we go into the basement, and there's like a bunch of rooms in the basement that aren't bedrooms. And this house was listed as like a 9-bedroom house. And it's like in Thornton, it's a little like, it's like 1,400 square foot, but 9 bedrooms. And I'm like, what is going on? And so there's little rooms that each have a stripper pole in each room. And like, you could totally tell it was like a webcam kind of set up, and they were calling each room a bedroom. And I just remember the look on the buyer's face, like of just like
So is it like a 12-bed, 3-bath?
Yeah,
house?
something like that, right?
That's so funny.
It was super weird, and I had just started doing real estate, and I had no idea what to say. I was like, so I think all the bedrooms are in the
Truly
basement.
unique property.
Yeah, no photos of this stuff online, right? It's just like
That's funny.
It was so interesting. But the craziest thing that ever happened to me on a showing, I was showing in Green Valley Ranch, and we like walk in, and it smells like weed really bad, and the buyers are like looking around, and they go out on the porch, and I'm looking at this desk in the living room, and there's like a bong and like weed stuff everywhere, which in Colorado not a big deal, right? But someone had definitely like just smoked, and all of a sudden the front door opens, and this guy walks in who looks incredibly high, right? He had just smoked and left for the showing to take his dog for a walk, and I see this like flash of fur, and I hear brrr, this dog just run up the stairs, and so I'm like, hey, how's it going? We're still here for the showing, and he just looks at me with like sheer terror, right? And I hear the dog stop, and I hear brrr, and he comes back down the stairs, turns the corner, German Shepherd, dead sprint directly at me, right? And I show with like a tablet in my hand, and I have the tablet, and the dog is sprinting at me, and this all is happening so fast. The guy hasn't said a word this whole time. He's just looking at me and kind of looking at the dog. It's happening really fast. The dog sprints at me, jumps through the air, and I think like, this is it. I'm about to die. You know, he's gonna bite on my neck and just murder me. German Shepherd, right? His front paws hit me in the chest. He bounces off me, spins like a 360, and runs back upstairs. And I like scream. I'm like, ah, you know, whatever noise that I make. The guy's like, all of a sudden, like, bro, like, you know, he's screaming for his dog. The dog just like runs off, like total like puppy move, I guess. But like,
That's so funny.
thought I was gonna die. Probably the craziest thing that's ever happened to me on a
That's
show.
funny.
Yeah.
It's like in one of those dog competitions, you know, he's getting ready to go back and do the stairs and then wiggle through the little cones.
Yeah, the best part was my clients like come back inside, and the guy's like gone, the dog's gone, and they're like, so yeah, we really like this one. Like, we knew what happened.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we'll take it. That's funny. That is funny. Yeah, mine happened actually not too long ago, 6 months ago probably ish. I was with a client. It was somewhere in like Denver proper. I think it might have been, I don't know if it was Cheeseman, you know, Congress Park, maybe Cap Hill, but it was like those, you know, your traditional Denver squares, you know, 1900 build, unfinished basement, but it was enough to be a basement, but the basement was completely like, you know, brick foundation, etc. We go down to the basement. Home is actually pretty nice. We go to the basement, and you walk down to the basement, and there's this like, it's like sectioned off into like different rooms with like, the rooms are made of like 2x4s and 2x6s, and one of the rooms isn't a room. It's like a cage. So it has like boards are the corners. There's basically the walls are chicken wire up all the way, and there's like 6 locks on this door. And as far as like the locks go, it was like 6 locks, chicken wire. Like the room looked like you're putting something or anything in here and it's not coming out type deal.
Nice.
And it was kind of like, we just like thrown back, like, what are you keeping in this room? And there was nothing in it except for it was like a 2x8s that are just all flat. There was like a little countertop, but it was dark. There was no lights, you know, like nails everywhere. It was pretty gnarly.
I think you told me about this. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It was like, this is 6, like, and you can't unlock it from the inside. And there's like 6 locks to keep something in. And my client and I were just looking at each other like,
That was Matt's
Was it the
client's
same house
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
worshiping the devil? Perfect.
what is in here?
They did
What did they
something.
keep? Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's a crazy story. Well, thanks guys for being on podcast number 1. Hopefully get you guys back in here a couple more times in the next few months, but a lot more podcasts coming soon. And yeah, let's get out there and crush it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Go. Peace.